feel like the military has a lot of stuff that's like 10 years ahead of what's out right now for like the public.
He's like, yeah, they might.
Yeah, maybe, you know.
So we got Sergeant Revolt in the building with us today.
Yep.
How are you feeling today? Doing all right?
Feeling pretty good, actually. Woke up pretty early. You know, got myself ready. Got a haircut this morning, so
Yeah,
Feeling good about it.
thank you for coming. And,
Absolutely.
we appreciate you being here with us and getting to share your story with all of our fans and for everybody out there that doesn't really know what it means to be a Marine and what you have to go through. Hopefully, like after today, they'll get to know a little bit more about your story and what you've been through and just what everybody as a Marine goes through.
absolutely.
Currently live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
I do like northern area. So I'm living up in Denton right now.
Okay.
So it's like 35 minutes from here.
Okay. And how long have you been in the Marine Corps?
I'm coming up on 7 years now.
You still look young. So you, how old were you when you joined?
I was actually 18, so I joined right out of high school.
Is that something you always knew you wanted to do?
So actually growing up, I played soccer all my life.
Really?
Yep. Played defensive mid, played right back. I played forward a little bit.
Nice.
So I grew up and that was my goal. Like I wanted to go to college. I wanted to go play soccer. And then in high school, actually, I broke my femur.
Damn.
So I got 2 screws in my femur. But yeah, I mean, that was in high school and I was still planning on doing that.
Right.
But obviously some things changed and, you know, I looked up to my brother and my brother was actually the person that inspired me to join the Marine Corps.
Really?
Yep.
He was in the Marine Corps?
Yeah, he actually just got out. He went to college, he did the whole college experience a little bit, and then he went to go talk to a recruiter. He learned about everything Marine Corps, and he kind of like gave me the same little spiel, and it kind of got my interest a little bit too, so that's when I made that decision.
Were you scared, nervous, excited? I mean, everybody has like different feelings. What was your feeling when you decided that you want to be part of the Marines?
Honestly, I think it took a while, so I don't know how I was feeling at the time. I was kind of nervous at first just because I knew it was a huge commitment to it. So it took me, I think, like 6 months for me to actually decide that I wanted to do it. But I was definitely nervous. I was definitely nervous when I sat down and talked to somebody.
I guess, can you walk us through that step? Can you join the Marines and just never be in danger if you really don't want to take that route?
At the end of the day, there's always going to be that factor to where it might be a consideration, like you might be put in that situation. But the misconception with like Marines is we're all just like running and gunning. We're all infantry. We're only going to be put in combat situations. But at the end of the day, we have over 300 different occupational fields where you're not necessarily going to be directly in the fight. I guess it's going to be there, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of options for you to actually take for you to be away from that directly too. So
I was wanting to ask, like, if you could walk us through like a day in the life of what you do.
absolutely. So for me personally, I like to get like a workout done in the morning.
Right.
So I wake up at like 4:30. I get my stuff ready. I get my meal prep ready in the mornings. I head to the gym, fitness connection in Denton.
Right.
And then from there, me and my boss, we get a workout in real quick. After that, go to the office around like 8:30. For us, it's a little bit different.
That's a long workout, man.
Yeah, it is. I like to do a little bit of cardio in the morning too.
Right.
So, but 8:30 we get there, and it's a little bit different for me right now, just because I'm in a different position than what I would be in if I was in like regular Marine Corps.
Right.
But as a recruiter, like my day is all over the place.
Doesn't every Marine have to stay in shape, right? Or at least maintain a certain body shape, right?
Yeah. So there are physical standards to it. There's 2 fitness tests that we have throughout the year. There's a combat fitness test and then there's a physical fitness test. All the workouts that we do, it's not like 100% geared towards those fitness tests, but it's just all around good fitness.
And they put you through like a 6-week or 12-week course, or like before you officially become a Marine, where you got to go through all the tests.
Before you actually go to boot camp, because boot camp is 3 months long, and that's like all the physical aspects, that's like the mental aspect, that's where you actually learn to become a Marine, and you do become a Marine. But for us specifically, this is actually one of the main things that makes us different from other branches. We actually had to pass a physical fitness test before you even go to boot camp.
Like, what's a standard that you have to meet?
You had to run a 1.5 miles in 13 minutes and 30 seconds for males. You had to run a 15-minute 1.5 miles for females. Now, when it comes to pull-ups, minimum of 4 pull-ups for males and the minimum of 1 pull-up for females.
That's not too bad.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, not at all.
It's not bad.
Not at all. And
I think you give it a month, Jardel. You could be.
We're good.
There we go.
Those are like easier than all the fitness tests we had in high school soccer.
Mhm.
Like anybody in high school soccer could have made the
Yeah.
Marines. So
absolutely.
because we had to do 2 miles in 15 minutes,
Mhm.
and then we were out here doing like 10, 15 pull-ups, like all of us could at
That's
least
just
do
the
that.
physical standpoint of it. I'm not.
I mean, yeah, I'm just talking about like for the fitness test that
Yeah.
they had to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that crazy. If you're like an in shape male, you could pretty much
Oh,
easily do that.
100%.
So
Can you walk us through boot camp a little bit? Because from what I've heard, like it's a lot of tough love in there, right? Where it's like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
almost like, I don't want to say you're getting chewed out, but there's like you're being yelled at to
Mhm.
hopefully motivate you to become stronger and become better, right?
Yeah.
Because if everybody was super nice to you, and you would never reach the potential that you have.
Oh yeah, 100%. That first day, honestly, it's a huge culture shock, because you go from living life, playing video games, scrolling on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram. You get there, and the first day, like you step off this bus, and this funny guy in a like big hat comes at you. He's just like yelling at you, giving you orders, telling you what to do. You step onto these yellow footprints, and these yellow footprints are very like monumental because you only step on them once, and that's your start to the journey of becoming a Marine. So that's where everything really like kicks into
It
play.
already hits you right
Yep.
there.
100%.
Second you get off the bus.
Second you get off the bus, it's like, oh wow, like I'm in this now,
Yeah.
But yeah, that first day, it's definitely going to be a huge culture shock. But it takes about, I want to say like the first month in boot camp in general, just to get used to it, right?
yeah,
They take everything away from you. They take your clothes, they take your phone, they take watches, they take everything. And then they issue all your gear that you're going to be using throughout the training. That first week, it really isn't too crazy, just because it's more administrative. So it's getting like your bank account set up, it's getting your ID, it's making sure that you're getting your retirement set up, just making sure that you're enrolled in the federal system because you're part of the federal government now.
Right.
After that, if you make it past the first week, which is super simple, you'll get to actually meet your drill instructors. And those are the people that are with you and yelling at you and motivating you for the rest of the time that you're in boot camp. But that first month of boot camp, that's really where like it's that culture shock. You make it past the first month, the other 2 months are going to be smooth, super easy. And then after that, like you have one last iteration. It's called the Crucible, and that's like I believe it's a 72-hour period, and I think you get maybe 10 hours of sleep, if that.
yeah.
So they're like tiring you out. You're out in the field, you're sleeping, you're eating like maybe one meal a day. And then once you pass that final test, you become a United States Marine.
So after you finished the boot camp, what was the next step for you?
Everybody gets to go back home for 10 days. So once you're done with boot camp, you become a Marine. Family comes and visits you. They watch your graduation. You can either go back home. For me, home was Surprise, Arizona. So I went back to Surprise, Arizona. I'd spent time with my family, my friends.
That's the first time they've seen you out in 3 months, right?
3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 months. And I was able to go back to my schools and stuff too, and like all the influencers and the people that I looked up to, I was able to show them the transformation and like thank them for what they did to allow me to be in the position I was in.
Do you know where you're about to work for the next couple of years,
Mhm.
or is everything fully in the control of Marines as far as where you're about to be sent off or what's going to
Mhm.
happen?
So you'll know for the first year,
Okay.
not for the full 4-year or 5-year contract that you have, because that first year before you actually leave to boot camp, you actually sign a job form basically, securing your job and where you're going to go. And everybody goes through the same type of training up until that school. But after that, it's kind of like the Marine Corps is going to put you where they need you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like a high performer or you're like top 10% of your class, you got like good physical standards, they actually sit you down and like they reward you and be like, hey, where do you want to go? Or what preferences do you have?
Okay.
So you're able to work for what you want.
Like, did you ever reach that point where it was like, I don't know if I could do this?
Mhm.
And if you did, like, what did you do to get yourself through it?
The one thing that really challenged me, like the biggest thing too, was in boot camp actually. So like I said earlier, like being away from family, no communication, nothing like that. Backstory, my grandpa, he was a Marine. And he actually inspired my brother to join the Marine Corps. My brother talked to me about it, obviously he inspired me. And then I talked to my grandpa as well too. Halfway through my training in boot camp, my grandpa passed away. And he was like one of my main like influencers, like become a Marine and keep doing this. So at that point, like I didn't know until I got a letter from my family. And it was a picture of him in the casket, and like my brother, he was already a Marine, so he was at the funeral, handing the flag over and stuff like that. So that like mentally just messed me up. And I did want to quit. I wanted to go home. I didn't think I wanted to do it anymore. But then I got a phone call home to my mom, and she like told me, she's like, your grandpa would have wanted you to do this. So
How is the brotherhood later on? Is everybody just like super supportive of each other? Or do you still have people that are like with walking around with egos or thinking like they're better than others? Or does all that get broken down in that boot camp? Or like once you're done with boot camp, everybody just respects each other and is like super cool with each other?
yeah, for the most part, everybody's like still on the same level. You still get like those onesies and twosies that still like think that they're up there and think that they're better than one another, but for the majority of it, like everybody's, you know, everybody's come together and like became a family.
Do you think that having like a drill sergeant that's kind of like a common enemy in a way like helps y'all build a brotherhood? Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing as like anything that you do, right? Sports or teachers, whatever it is. You get like you get people that don't like each other sometimes, right? Because it's just the difference. But then once you go through something that you both don't like, then you have something to bond over.
Yeah.
And then obviously you guys like start picking each other up and motivating each other. And like you guys don't like the certain person or you don't like the certain thing, you guys are both going to work towards it and like go through it together.
Right.
And what happens in the Marine Corps as far as like what kind of food do you guys eat? Does everybody eat the same thing? Like, you know, when you're outside of the Marines, like for us guys, right? If we want to get bigger or get in shape, we're taking, you know, a pre-workout, you're taking your proteins and all these like supplements, things like that.
Yeah.
What goes on in the Marines? Are y'all allowed to take a pre-workout? Are y'all, you know, do y'all take like protein, or is it just strictly 3-4 meals a day and everybody eats the same?
Boot camp, it's all structured. So 3 meals a day, everybody's eating the same thing, just because like I said, we're starting with the baseline and then building you up. That's the only time that it's kind of like restricted. But once you're done with that, like you can take pre-workout, you can take protein, you can go and get Pizza Hut if you want to. It's all normal. Like they still offer certain meals and stuff throughout the chow halls that we call it. But it's basically like, it's like a school cafeteria. But it's not a school cafeteria. It's, you know, obviously government, but it's good food.
I've always wondered, like, is it frowned upon to be juiced up?
Oh, 100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't do that?
Yeah.
No, yeah, you
No.
can't. No.
I mean, shit.
Yeah,
No,
no.
you can't. How do you and the rest of the Marines feel and the difference of the two presidents, right? Do you like more of having a president that's a risk taker and that wants to go all in and that wants the world to be scared? Or do you like somebody that's more of a peacemaker that wants peace, but then does that make us look weak?
I don't really have too much of an opinion on it. Obviously, the presidents do have like a lot of power over military and just like the world in general. But at the end of the day, like it's not really affecting the way that I am. It's not really affecting the way that I see things. Because my job isn't going to get changed because we still have that end goal, just protecting and serving, whether that is being more aggressive or that's being more conservative and like staying back a little bit.
If somebody wants to join, do they pretty much have to like give their full life to the Marines, or can they join and say, well, I'd like to join and, you know, contribute, but I really want to stay in Texas only so that I could be close to my children and things like that? Is that an option, or they have to be just ready to go wherever?
Oh no, that's definitely an option. It's actually a huge like unknown opportunity that is offered in all branches, right? Because obviously active duty, you're traveling, you're exploring, you're deploying. That's your full-time job. For individuals that want to stay close to family, that want to go to college, that want to start a career or be an entrepreneur or whatever the case may be, we actually have Marine Corps reserves. And that like benefits them in the way of they still get the training, they still go to boot camp, combat training, the school training, and then after they're done with that first year of training, roughly like first year of training, they come back here to Texas. And the only obligation is 1 week in a month and then 2 weeks out of that summer. So if you want to stay close to family, if you still want that pride, if you still want to serve, definitely look into the reserves, because you'll get a technical skill, you'll get paid for that first full year as an active duty Marine, and then you'll get like the partial benefits as well too, for medical, dental, schooling, helping with tuition, and all while still being close to home and doing what you want to do in the civilian life.
If somebody wanted to join the Marines right now that's watching this episode, what are some of the like qualifications and steps that they would have to go through? Like I know there's like tattoo laws, right?
So tattoos, that's like the biggest one that actually just recently changed. They did implement it, so now you can have full sleeves.
Okay.
You can have a full sleeve, you can have full leg sleeves, a full back tat, full like stomach tat, whatever it is. It just can't go below like the wrist bone right here, onto your hands, and then nothing above like the collarbone and onto your face as well too. So tattoos are perfectly fine as long as they're not like degrading or anything vulgar or like anything crazy like that. Now when it comes to other qualifications, the biggest thing is just going to be like physical qualifications and then mental and moral qualifications as well too. One main thing a lot of people don't know about for qualifications for the military is going to be the ASVAB. That's just like it's called the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test.
Oh, I think we took that in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do offer in high school, and a lot of people don't know about it and like how much it will benefit you, not just for military, but just for occupations like outside the military as well too.
Yeah.
So not a lot of people take it, but it's a
Right.
good like aptitude test to see where you're at and see what you're good at.
Up until now, of course, they changed the tattoo law, but I feel like there's so many people out there that are like really skilled and talented, but they might have a tattoo on the wrong spot and they couldn't join the Marines just because of that. Like, I know they just changed it recently, but like when you think in the last decade or 2 decades of how many more great Marines there could have been if it just wasn't for that law, like that's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's super unfortunate. Super unfortunate because we get a lot of people, or at least from what I heard, because I've only been out here for a short amount of time. But before they changed the tattoo policy, like there's a lot of individuals that do have tattoos from high school, or even like in college, and they try and like change their path and start a new career. But it's super unfortunate because that one thing held them back.
After Missouri, where did you end up going?
So I actually went to Okinawa, Japan for my first 2 years in the Marine Corps.
Wow.
Yep.
How was that?
I knew that you can go overseas and visit these countries, but I didn't know like you can be specifically stationed out there at the time. But they tell us halfway through our training like where exactly we're gonna go.
From boot camp to you leaving to Japan, how many months had passed in between?
I want to say 3 months for boot camp, a month for combat training, so that's 4 months, and then another 4 months in Missouri. Approximately 8 months with a little bit of time in between coming and visiting family, so like 9 months almost.
So within pretty much joining, 9 months later, you're going to Japan.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. All right. I guess Now, if you could just walk us through like how that, how it felt when you first, got deployed, when you first arrived, and how that process was.
I mean, it was huge. Like I was super nervous. I was super confused at first. A little bit about me, I grew up in California, Riverside, California specifically, and that's where I grew up at. Freshman year of high school, I moved to Arizona. My dad got a new job, we got a new place to stay in, and that was a huge culture shock for me because it's like going from one state to another, no friends, no family out there. So I was like the only thing that I've experienced where I've been out of my comfort zone. But then when I found out that I was going to Japan, I was like,
that's a whole nother level.
I'm 18 years old, like about to go to another country. I don't think I processed it until I actually landed at the airport in Japan. Yeah. So it was huge.
And y'all were just on base the whole time over there, or did you actually get to like go through like to the city?
Yeah, so we got time to actually explore, right?
Okay.
Since it is like a new country and you're in like a different environment, a different culture, they put a little bit of restriction when you first get out there. So I flew out there by myself. Well, not by myself. I had everybody else that was going to be stationed out there with me for my school. But flew out there. We all landed in Japan together. We had to figure everything out on our own and like try and read these signs that we didn't understand. But then we got onto the base and they give us like a welcome aboard brief, basically.
Okay.
They let us know like restrictions. They let us know the culture. We get classes on the culture and like on the language and how everything works. They drive on the opposite side of the road too, so they don't let us have they don't let us have cars when we first get out there because we still got to adjust.
Jesus.
Yeah, but for the first like 3-4 months, all it is just getting adjusted to the culture and different environment and the time zone and the time changes.
But are you still like on base there, or are you like just living in like a condo or something?
No, yeah, you do live on Marine Corps installations out there. They have bases specifically built for us to live on, and like we have our chow hall and our food, and we have like little strip malls on some of the bases, and like movie theaters, bowling. So everything's still kind of.
It feels like Americanized still on base.
100%.
Okay.
100%. And then we were given the opportunity after that restriction period for us to actually go explore the country, go travel, go to different islands, go to different countries and stuff like that too. Yeah.
So like that flight over there, is that a commercial flight, or is that like you have like a plane that they?
No, it's a commercial flight.
Alright.
Yeah.
Because he's probably imagining that Call of Duty where everybody's sitting with
bro.
the backpacks in the back.
No, see, I never knew. I thought like there would be like a plane provided.
Yeah, I've been to airports and seen like army people. You just
Yeah.
have to give them priority or whatever,
Mhm.
like full geared out. Is that
Yeah.
how y'all were, like full geared out or?
No, we were in normal clothes.
Oh, okay.
Like me, I think I was going in like sweats because it was like a 13, 14-hour flight.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It's like sweats, a
No,
hoodie,
of course, yeah.
some sandals, some slides.
Yeah.
But we did have like all our gear with us too.
Okay.
Like our sea bags, that's what we call them, like the big green bags you see
Yeah.
people deploy with. All my personal belongings, everything that I wanted to take with me, I had to take on the plane with me as well too.
Do you have like a special moment that you remember back there?
I think it was just the initial day I got out there.
The first
Yeah,
day?
just because you're so used to everything being Americanized and everything's in English and everything's like just going with the flow because you're so used to it. But when you get out there, just like the smell and like the humidity, the environment, the culture, everybody that's out there, it's just super different.
And what is the reason that you guys go out there? Is it to train?
We're just assets.
Okay.
So everything that we would do here in the States, we just do over there as well too. We have super good relations with Korea. We have super good relations with the Japanese government, with the Japanese military.
When you
We
say
both help each
Korea,
other
is that
out.
South Korea? Or?
South Korea? Yeah, definitely not.
'Cause you know, like
Yeah, South Korea.
South
Yes.
Korea, okay. But if somebody is married, what happens? Is their family allowed to come with them, or the family has to stay back?
No, 100%. They'll take them out there with them.
Oh wow, okay.
Yep, and they assist you with everything, with like plane tickets, with like getting reimbursed for any type of like travel expenses.
Yeah.
You get sponsored out there through somebody that's already been out there and it's like, waiting for you to arrive.
Mhm.
So then you get set up with like housing on the bases, get set up with how to take your driver's license test out there in a different country,
Mhm.
where to get cars at, like everything's already planned
So
out.
for somebody that like goes out there with like a wife and kids,
Mhm.
the base on school is pretty much in English, right?
Yes.
Like the kids there would feel Americanized as
Yes.
if things are here.
Mhm.
The only thing that would change is they are allowed to go off base too and kind of explore the city.
Yes, 100%. They have no restrictions, just like how we don't. Obviously, just for like the first couple months,
Mhm.
but for them it's a little bit different because they're not like federal.
Okay.
They're just like spouses and their families and stuff like that.
For you to keep ranking up, do you have to have the options open of moving? If you decided to, well, I don't want to keep traveling or moving, would that affect your ranks and leveling up?
It depends. It could affect it just because, like I said earlier, the different positions you had to like actually move into and like the limited availability for it. So it can definitely affect it. But if I do come to that decision to where I do want to stay stagnant, I'm just gonna transition to the reserves. I'll still have that pride of being a Marine. I'll still have the benefits, like I said. I'll still be a Marine.
I personally don't know what each rank means, but
Mhm.
for a Marine, how special does it feel every time you rank up?
Oh, I mean, it's an amazing feeling. It's just like getting promoted in like a regular
Mhm.
job, right?
Mhm.
Each rank comes with more pay, more responsibility, more influence on certain individuals and like the people that are under you. But when you first join the Marine Corps, you're an E1 or an E2. That's a private or private first class.
Mhm.
That's just like baseline, just so you can get used to being a Marine and you understand Marine Corps. But within your first, I want to say like 2 to 3 years of being a Marine, you're guaranteed those 3 promotions.
I feel like the military has a lot of stuff that's like 10 years ahead of what's out right now for like the public.
He's like, yeah, they might.
Yeah, maybe, you know.
Me personally, like it scares me, like reading online that
Mhm.
like China and Russia might be teaming up. Is that scary?
It is, just because like perception, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people, they look at the news and they look all these articles on Facebook or just like these advertisements. They got to understand that even if something was going to happen like that, nobody was going to be posting it for everybody to be seen.
Exactly.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and that's like way above everything that I know right now.
Right.
And I promise you I'm not playing dumb, right? But at the end of the day, it's like you got to understand the type of situations that we could be put in,
Yeah.
and then the security with it.
Yeah.
Because if we do have assets like that, if other countries do have capabilities like that, why would they be pointing it out for everybody to be
Hey,
seen?
look what I got.
You know?
I don't know if you're allowed to answer, right? But it's like, is there areas out there, kind of like Area 51, that like people just might not know about?
Possibly. I
You
mean-
could blink twice.
Nah, I'm just kidding. No, possibly.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's positions in the Marine Corps where you have those top secret clearances where they'll know.
The reason like I ask is because
Yeah.
like we were talking about like cyber, right? And it's like you have all these satellites. I mean, does it feel like anybody in the world can just see everything? Like, can people from like overseas through satellite just see everything, or is there ways that some things are still blocked off where even satellite can't pick up on?
Oh, I have no clue.
Yeah,
I
I'm
have
just
no
and
clue.
I'm just
Like,
curious
yeah.
myself. You know, it's like, can they really see whatever they want, or is there some things that like even satellite can't catch?
I mean, that'd be cool if I knew about it, right?
Ask your brother, you gotta ask your brother about these things.
I know, right? Now I gotta
Yeah.
talk to my brother about it. Maybe.
Outside of being a Marine, man, what do you get into?
So I like playing soccer.
Right.
When I was in Japan, when I was overseas, wherever I was at, whenever I was done like doing my job, I would just go to the gym, play soccer, play video games, like hang out, go explore. Right now, my main thing is just going home, spending time with family. But outside of the Marine Corps, like you don't lose your personality. You don't lose those hobbies. You don't lose the person that you are. You just become a better version of yourself.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you like coming on to our show.
Yeah,
It means a
100%.
lot to us. We definitely wanted to do like an interview where people at home get to hear your side of the story and just kind of get to experience what Marines go through. You know,
100%.
where people's like a lot of the things you said, people don't just know out there. And I feel like in this interview, they'll get to learn what it takes, what you had to go through, why you had to go through it, and some of the risks that you took and like your hardest moments. And now, of course, like you said, you have a family, you have a child, so now you have like a whole different, I'm sure, motivation behind you as
absolutely.
to why you do it for and why you go hard every day. But overall, we just, you know, thank you so much for your service and thank you for everything that you do. It takes a special person to do what you do. You know, it's like me personally, I feel like if I had to join the Marines right now, I couldn't do it because of my kids. You know, I'd have that fear in me. It's like, well, what if something happens to me one day? I don't want them living without a father, and like nothing negative about it. It just shows that like it takes a special kind of courage to do what you do, you know? So for that, we're truly
man.
honored.
appreciate y'all.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Mhm.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Revolt, thank you. And we'll do this again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Mhm.
Yeah, sure.